do you see for nonprofits in affordable housing construction and land use in policy formulation?
Good question.
I'm sorry, can you repeat it?
What role do you see for nonprofits in affordable housing construction and land use in policy formulation?
Yes, Representative.
Well, obviously, if you are a not-for-profit and you are housing the people, then you are already part of the solution in the city. And I think that that needs to be where we are looking, because these organizations are the ones that can do it on a shoestring budget and are creating real change and real effectiveness. And I think that they, as far as housing, they should be one of the first and frontline people that you go to whenever you're creating policy or whenever you're creating new housing. I think that they know how to do it. They know how to do it best. And groups like the CHP are one of the reasons why I'm up here today, because I really learned so much about how to extend dignity to people through housing organizations like that. And I think that that's where the policy should come from.
What role do we see nonprofits playing in affordable housing? I'm challenging that question. Why haven't nonprofits been moving those people who have paid 1/3 of their rent for 5, 10, 15 years while they've been living in an SRO, instead of moving them into those new buildings that they're building? 990 got built, 365 Fulton's getting built, 10th and Mission has been built, but how many of you who live in an SRO have been moved into an apartment?
They won't do it.
They won't do it. Okay? So that's what the question is. When is the nonprofits going to start treating you, the tenant, as a human being and stop warehousing you? The answer is when you vote James Keys into office. God, I got to get that one right. But you know what? You can get it right for me by voting James Keys. Thank you.
I used to work for one of these nonprofits, and I know that we personally did outreach in all of our buildings to make sure that they get housing applications for any new buildings that we were building. I think that's generally the policy for most of us. I think the problem is that we're just not building enough units to house everyone that's already housed in SRO hotels. That is the major problem that we have. When we have application lines for the new housing that we build, there are thousands of people that come out in the mornings for maybe 40, 50, 80 units, sometimes only 5, 10 units. I mean, we're just not building enough. That's why we need to pass another affordable housing bond. We need to even think about having a set aside in our budget, if housing is a crisis here in the city, to build more affordable housing. And oftentimes it's better run and better managed by nonprofit entities that are committed to serving our residents and providing services on site, and also securing long-term, deep affordability for our families and our seniors and our formerly homeless individuals.
Jim Biko, boy, this is not a 1-minute answer, but I will try. You know, the nonprofit, the question is about housing construction, and the nonprofit housing community is not highly regarded for the efficiencies that they bring to that construction. Not highly regarded for the efficiencies. And the notion of community planning that I hear from the nonprofit community is more the academic notion of planning somebody else's community. What we need to do is to take the nonprofit community and put them at the same table with the for-profit community and get better interaction amongst all of them. And that's what I've been doing for the last 30 years here, getting everybody to the table and getting the best ideas from everybody.
If you look at just kind of the definition of nonprofits in this segment in San Francisco, many of them, if not all of them, I would suggest are probably getting funding, and large amounts of funding from our city government. We need to make sure the city government holds them accountable. We need to make sure they're held accountable, same as some private developers are. We need to make sure the city has oversight and monitors not only construction but closely monitors the application of the rules and regulations once they're open to people. We need to make sure there's wraparound service. So the nonprofits, I think, are a valuable part of this low-income housing equation here in San Francisco, but still most of the money comes from the city and county of San Francisco, and we need to exert our influence to make sure they're following procedures like everyone else.
Until we change our in-lieu policies, which are failing to give us the housing we need, I think we need to look to, there's a lot wrong with the Eastern Neighborhood Plan that just passed, but there's one opportunity within it that actually does what Mr. Miko talks about, of putting the nonprofit building developers on the table, at the table with the for-profit in the form of air and land dedications. We need to set as policy the levels of affordability we need, which need to be much higher than they are now. And we need to hold the nonprofit community accountable by not doing just in lieu funding of affordable housing. We need to pass an affordable housing bond, and we need to put the affordable housing within the units. We need to build it in other places than just District 6. We need to increase density along transit corridors. All of these together, I think, will form nice partnerships between these entities.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hyde. This question starts with Mr. Hyde.